Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for another Journaling on a Budget video. This is our Journaling on a Budget Extra, our lab book, and this is part 7. So we have so far got the back section completed as far as we're going to do right now. We have all of the decorating still left to do. And so we're going to move on to our front section. In the front section, we have the pocket that we put in with the leaf sheets or whatever they call those in the front of the book that we left. And now we are going to make an insert into the center. And so what I have done is I just took a regular file folder and I cut it on its actual fold, because where they have the folds, they have the lines that they have already pre-scored. So I went ahead and I cut this to be 5 inches wide by 8 1/4 inches long. That's the size for the pages of this book. You'll just cut it to fit whatever book you have. And then I scored it on the very first line. So this is about, let me measure it. It's just over 1/4 of an inch. 1, 2, it's 3/8 of an inch wide. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of get this ready and then we will insert it into the book. So on the front page, I want to put an envelope and a pocket. And so, but what I want to do first is do the background, because it's easier to do your backgrounds before you put it in your book and before you put things on it. So this is a jot, so that's from the Dollar Tree, and it's a sticky back stencil, and this is the way that I store my stencils. I store them all in file folders. I cut them down to about the size of my stencil, and I stencil on the front, and then I keep them in a box, you know, from shortest to tallest, so that I can just kind of flip through and see what I have. And and I do have to admit, I lied. In the last video, I said I wasn't going to edge things, and you know, they just don't look done if they're not edged. So I did go ahead and I distressed most of this section in either let me give you the actual colors. The blue is called Broken China, and then I also used the green, which is Crushed Olive, on the edges. So I did go through and I did edge everything because I just was not happy with it not being inked on the edges. And whenever you have put something already together and you need to edge it, take a piece of paper, a hard piece of cardstock or whatever, and just stick it like wherever you're going to. Let me see here. These ones were easy. They were just edges. But here, I didn't want to get this blue all over this backing sheet. So you just take something and stick it in between and then just kind of hold it back and do your edging. And even where you can't get in between, just put it right up next to the edge and carefully do your edging. And that way you are not going to get your inks all over where you don't want them. So I am going to be using the Distress inks on this because I just can't do without it. So, and what I'm going to do for my backing, this section I'm going to kind of do this first part right here. It's going to be in some pinks, and our book has got a lot of blue in it. So I am going to use my blue, the Broken China, and Worn Lipstick is the pink. And I am just going to give this a light background. I don't want it to be, whoops, that wasn't good. Hold your stencil down so it doesn't move. Even though this is already sticky back, I use it so much that it's not as sticky as it used to be. So we're just going to get this distressed up and just kind of lightly. The nice thing about the Distress inks is they blend with each other so well that it really makes for a nice look, especially for a background, because you don't have to worry about if you're going over top of the other color that you just did. So I'm just going to get this done up and then I'll move it down. And I am going to put now I could just do the edges because I'm going to put an envelope and a pocket on here. But usually I just kind of do the whole thing. And that way I don't have to worry about how big is my envelope. But if you want to save some ink, you can always do that. Just do just do wherever it's going to show. But see, it just has a really nice look to it. And I'm not so sure how big my pocket's going to be, so I'm now going to line up the flowers on this. Just line it up, and oops, don't want to put the pink in the blue. I do that all the time. Put the wrong sponge in the wrong color. So just kind of finish this up a little bit, because I don't think I'm going to be taking my pocket all the way to the edge. There'll be probably a little bit sticking out, and so definitely want to make sure that I get those edges. I'm just kind of going between. Sorry for the squeakiness. This is Papa's old table. It's our kitchen, what we use in our dining room, and it's old and it squeaks, but he loves it. He and my mother picked it out together, and so even though it squeaks, we love it. So there we go. Now we've got that covered. That was nice and easy, and isn't that pretty? And you could just put very little on that and it would still look really nice. Of course, you know, in the lap books, more is more. So we're not going to put just a little on it. Now I've got an embossed envelope here. This is just an envelope I got. It was invitations you could make, and so you know, I wanted the boxes because they had magnetic closures on them, and I used them to store my stamps, and I wound up with lots of extra envelopes. So now I'm going to use these envelopes in my journaling, and I'm going to put this on here now, remembering that this has a fold in it. So this is my front cover, and so I want to make sure that I don't go past this line right here, or I'm going to be on the spine. And I am just going to put this in here like that, and all I'm going to do is attach down my flap. Now I've embossed this, and this has embossing on the ones that go up and down. They're debossed, which means they're pressed in. The ones that go side to side, those are embossed, which means they come up. And I did this with my scoreboard. I just put the envelope on my scoreboard. I did not want to emboss my flap, so I just left it out like this, and I just scored it like this every ½ an inch. Then that's what made the debossed or dent down. And then I turned it over and I scored it this way, so that pressed down here and pressed up here, and I just have this nice little embossed look. So, and I do have a video. I don't know if it's in Build Your Stash and Craft or if it's Journaling on a Budget, but I do have a video on how to emboss without an embossing machine or embossing folders. So you could go look that up if you want to try some different types of embossing. But the scoreboard is a really quick way to get a cute look. The scoreboard, that's what it is. So I'm just going to kind of line this up, and then I will put some kind of decoration on this when we get to the point of doing the decorating part. Now that's going to just open out like that. And I will probably put something to kind of cover the flap, but you don't have to. The one thing that I will eventually do is I will use a baby wipe, and I will wipe the gum off this envelope if I don't cover it with paper, because you don't want that to get damp and stick your envelope closed. So now we have an envelope that we can put things in, and then we're going to put a little pocket here at the bottom, and I've chosen some papers for this. If I can get to them. And so let's see here. I have notes all over the place. I wasn't feeling well yesterday, so I put everything in. Okay. So, trying to think. I'm going to use that much on an envelope in the back, so I can use this portion right here for my little tag at the bottom, or not a tag, it's going to be a pocket like don't know what, I'm going to wait on this until we finish the inside because I don't want to run out of the papers. I have these 2 papers that I'm going to use for the inside, and then I'm going to use a leftover piece here as a pocket. So let's open it up, and I've also got this all distressed already. Put this on here. And so this piece I have here, and I am going to cut this so that I can cover this back section. This front section here, I'm going to put a pocket at the top, and I want to put writing lines at the bottom. And so I'm not going to, let me see, I have my stamp here, and this is just a handmade stamp. I also have a video on that, on journaling on a budget, I believe. And so I'm just going to ink this up. This makes really nice distressed lines. They're not super, super solid. And that's what I like for my lines whenever I'm doing any kind of journal. Get the little bits off from my ink pad. I don't know if I got it all the way to the bottom. I'm going to put just a little bit more on here. There we go. Okay, my bottom is right about here. Okay, I'm just going to set that on there and give it a nice press. Whenever you're stamping, and I say this all the time, but new people sometimes haven't heard it, it's not about how hard you press, it's about how long you give that ink to soak into that paper. This is really heavy paper, and so it takes a few minutes for the ink to soak in. So just give it a few minutes, you know, just kind of, you know, give it a bit of a rub, but you don't have to press hard. You just kind of want to make sure it's making contact everywhere, but you just want to give it a chance to come off of your stamp and get onto your paper. Flip that up, and there we go. And that's the nice look that it gives. I just like that distressed look. It just isn't so like solid and in your face. Alrighty, so now what we're going to do is I want to cover this part right here. I'm going to cover it with these pink roses, and I'm going to grab my cutter. So our page is 5 inches by 8 1/4. And so I'm going to cut it just a little bit smaller than that. So I'm going to cut it, what am I going to cut it? Let's cut it, okay, I wanted this right here as a tag. And so I am going to start at this end for my backing paper. I'm going to cut off this top extra part where they just have them hanging, and then I'm going to go, instead of 5, I'm going to go 1/4 of an inch less. We'll go 4 3/4. And then up and down, we were 8 1/4, so I'm going to go 8 inches this way. Alrighty. And so this is going to go on the back here. And then I want to have a belly band on this one. And so I am going to cut that one. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to cut it 2 inches. Let's go 2.5 inches, because that will hold our book down nicely. I'm looking at where I'm cutting. I'm going to go 2 inches, because if I go 2.5 inches, I would have cut this guy's head off, and even though I'm not going to use that, I really didn't want his head on my belly band. It looked like I chopped his head off. So this belly band is going to go here. Oops, I forgot to cut that, 8 inches long. now we have a belling band and a backing paper. And now with what we have left, we can make our pocket for here, which we want to make that one also. I like the spacing here, so I'm going to make this 4 3/4, so I have that little gap. And from the top to my first line is 2 1/4, so I'm going to make that 2 inches. 2 inches by 4 3/4. And let's see here. Just trying to think where I want to get that from. Oh, 4 3/4 is what I need. But I really want that butterfly. Okay, 4 3/4. And now I want to get this butterfly, so I want that to be about 2 inches. I'm looking at where I'm coming here because I don't want this here. I'm going to cut it there. And then cut it 2 inches. Now that's going to give us a little pocket here. Oh, I forgot. The front is smaller than the back, remember? Because we put the little fold in it. It was even, and then we put the fold in it. So I need to make that. It's about 4 1/2, so I'm going to go with 4 1/4. There we go. And we're going to put this in right there. Now I'm going to back that, or I'm going to ink that really quickly. And what I also need to do is I need to cut a half round there. And I also have embossed an envelope that I want to put on the back side. So I'm going to take my flap and I'm going to put this in like this. I forgot, I need to score this back a little bit, and then it's going to fit. I'll glue it right to the backing and then put the backing paper on top. Okay, so my envelope is too big, so we just have to fix that. So I don't want my envelope coming exactly to the edge, so I'm going to come over just a little bit. And then I'm going to put a little mark on here. Come in just a little bit because we came in a little bit on the other side, so we kind of want them to be even. And I'm going to score it right there. And then I'll just fold it. I'm just going to line that up with any line. It doesn't matter which one. Okay. And then I'm going to fold this back this way. Just like that. Okay, so this is going to be glued down like this. I want to nip off where the lid, or this part, so that it's not in our way. Go. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to glue this down to the back of my file folder. And I am going to cut a cover for this. and we'll put a file folder inside to cover up where, because this is a little bit thin, when I embossed it, it actually broke the paper, and so that came through. Excuse me. I want to cover this envelope with some paper, so I went ahead and I edged it in the pink, so that I would, when I backed it, I could have a little bit of edging around there. I'll probably need to actually put some here too, and I didn't think about that when I did it. So we are going to put this together a bit. So I'm going to glue this down here. Oops, and I'm going to glue the back of my flap, and then we're going to put our decorative paper over top of it to hide the flap. I want to get it on that edge really well because it's going to be opening and closing, so we want that to be attached down. Going to just kind of center it. And on my paper here, and make sure that my paper is going to fit before I push that down too much. Yes, it is. Okay. Try and make sure that it's straight. And then press that down. Alrighty, so we've got that. This is going to go here. And then we're going to put another smaller envelope inside, but we're going to washi tape that down. Or do I want to do it? I'm going to leave this for right now. I'm going to show you what we're going to do if I have another small envelope here. Here we go. Here it is. Okay, so I have this smaller envelope also that I am going to put on this side. And I do want to put it underneath like this. So that's going to go on there like that. And this will come over top of it. And the belly band is going to go here. I'm going to edge both of these with pink. Or should I do them in brown? I think we'll go with the, it's tea dye is the brown. And I don't have my tea dye sponge here, so I'm going to just use the side of one of my other ones. Because everything doesn't have to be quite so, sorry about that if you can't see. It doesn't have to be so matchy-matchy. Like everything doesn't have to be pink. Sometimes it can get a little overwhelming, especially since, you know, pink is not my color. To have everything in pink is a little overwhelming to me. You could also do it in, edge it in pink, ink it in pink, and then just take your brown and just run it along the edge like this so it makes your edge a little bit dark. That also looks really nice. But this paper is so dark that I think that the tea stain really will make it stand out a little bit better anyways. Okay. And I'm going to do this one. What did I do with the pink? I am going to do this one in pink and then put a little brown around the edges. And then we have a picture to put on here as a focal point. The one thing, whenever your sponges start to get a little bit older, they still work just great, but they start leaving little parts that fall off. So you need to be careful and brush those off or blow them off carefully because they are full of ink. And you don't want to get that all over whatever you're working on. Okay, so we've got that. get the lids on them. Where's my brown one? And then I'm just going to take the brown and just run it along the edge like this. There we go. And now I have a piece here that I wanted to put on this envelope. And so we're going to measure her out. This envelope is 4.5 by 5 3/4. So I'm going to cut her 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So first I'm going to cut the 5 1/2. And then 4 1/4. Put that in my ink. I'm gonna move this out of my way and edge her up really quick, or ink her up. Because the only way I could do the inking beforehand is if I cut everything out and did all the measurements and everything beforehand. And I kind of like to go through the measurements so you can see how I get them, especially since your book might be different than mine, or what you put in it may be different than mine. I want you to see how I figured it out by what size I had. So it takes a minute, but I just want to make sure that this is finished off. I think I am going to sell this at the end, and so I don't want it to be something I wouldn't be happy with myself. Now we have our little envelope here. I want to make sure it's going to go in like this. So this is my upside, and she's going to go right on there. And then we can put the backing paper on, because we can put this one on first. I want to get nice and close to the edges. Again, make sure that your envelope is the right way. I think that's just a gorgeous picture. Okay, and now we've got our backing paper here. I'm going to stick her in the center like that, and I'm going to put her right on the backing paper. And if you forgot to do this step, then all you do is you just go ahead and you put this on top. Cut it just about 1/2 inch wide here so you don't have all this flap sticking out. And then just glue that 1/2 inch on there and put a nice pretty piece of washi tape on it. That's what I did with my last one because I forgot to put it on before I put my backing paper in. And so there we have that. And then we'll put our belly band on. Whoops. And when we get ready to decorate, we will make a booklet to go underneath the belly band so that there will be some nice writing spots for your travels. I'm just putting that right in the center. Take off the extra glue there. So now we have this one. And then we have a belly band here. And this is going to be the backing paper of this back page. So I'm just going to get glue all over the whole thing, nice and close to the edges, because you want to, this is backing paper. You want it to be nice and solid in there. The edges are the most important. And then just some in the center to... Okay, I'm going to kind of set this in here and hold this up. Okay, and there we go. Now we have our backing paper down there, so this one is going to open up. This one will open up like this. This one will open up like this. We'll have a book in here. And if you really want to, you could put it like that. So however, you would want to do that. You could do it either way, being that you're on the back of the backing paper. Then we are going to make a little spot for here. And one for the front. For the front, I really like this. Didn't I cut out one with a butterfly on it to go right up here? Maybe not. I thought I did. And I said that I was going to have to punch a half round on it. Okay, well, it's here somewhere. Excuse me. It's right here on the floor. Okay, so I'm going to ink this one up. And that's going to go right in there. Now I'm not going to glue this one down while you're watching, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that half circle in there. And then I'll just glue that in. And then we're going to cut one here. And so I need this one to be, I think that what I'm going to do is, do I want to do 2 inches or 2.5, 2.25? I'm going to cut it at 2.25 inches. And I'm just going to cut it really quick. Yeah, I like that. And then I need to cut it to fit. There we go. This one I'll also put a half round on. I like this pocket because what this pocket does is when you stick a tag in here, then that holds your envelope shut. And nobody's going to get in there without taking out whatever's in that pocket before they open up that envelope. So I am going to ink this one and then glue it in. I think I'm going to do it in brown also, after I put the half round. There we go. That's going to go right there. Now we can decorate this up later. And so here's our book. I'm going to take these 2 little pockets and set them right up there so they don't get lost. And this is going to be in the front section of our book, not the center. What did you, oh, I folded it the wrong way. Alrighty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put some glue on here and put it in the book. Now I am probably going to go make some pink staples just like we did in part 6. And instead of putting them sideways because this is so skinny, I'm going to put them, I got my blue ones still here. I will put the staples in this way. Wait a minute. This way instead of this way because they won't fit like that. So I will put them in like this, up and down, to hold this in even better. And I'm going to put this on here. I'm going to put it a little closer to this pocket because we're going to do something a little bulkier here. So instead of putting it exactly in the center, I'm going to put it a little closer to one side. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. Wow. And there we go. And kind of line it up top and bottom. There we go. I probably have about 3/4 of an inch here and probably only 1/4 of an inch on the other side. And I'm just going to press that down. And so there we go. Now that's what that one looks like so far. We'll be having more here. We've got our pocket here. And when you open it up, and then you have this here, which is an envelope. We'll have a pocket here and a pocket here. Writing space. We have an envelope here, which we are going to make a backing paper for when we decorate. We've got this one here. A belly band that we can put a book behind. And then we can also do something with the back I probably will do the back and the front cover in the next video. So that's what we have today. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.